Did you see how doomed this game was? 0 swords, 0 bows. I get dropped tier, chain rod. There's no way. There's no way. This has to be one of my greatest played games of all time.
Ditch Soap, Socks, and Setsuko have all been in a race to maintain the rank 1 spot in NA. But on January 4th, 2023, Socks is the one that currently holds the spot. Let's see what we can learn from him, and let's get into the game. I just want to point out, bro is literally feeding his baby while waiting to get into the game. This dude has a literal child and is rank 1 NA. You're gold or plat or diamond or whatever, and you don't have a baby, you don't really got an excuse. He didn't even have enough time to get Carousel because he's feeding his baby. And the game just gives him glove. Still feeding his baby, he's wrapping it up though. Grabs the Yasuo pair. Has the Ash 2. He's actually still feeding his baby. I'm gonna leave the cam like this for like stage 2 or something. Okay. It was triple 2 cost. 30 AD admin. So first augment, pretty sure it was Jinx augment, Lee Sin augment, and some other augment that was not good enough to play. Pretty sure he just rerolled and tried to pick something that was at least playable, and Spirit of the Exile is a pretty good augment, and it also gave him a Yasuo too, so pretty easy decision. So he gets dropped to Nico and he has an econ opener. He only has 1 glove and 1 chain. These openers are pretty easy to play though, because when you're strong enough where you don't even need to make an item to win rounds and you get an econ opener, then normally you're rich and you have a lot of gold. I mean, you're rich and you're gonna have a lot of HP. Okay, now the baby is literally just playing the game. I'm telling you, this is the guy that's rank 1. He's not even playing the early game. At least this early game is pretty easy to pilot, so he doesn't actually need to pay too much attention to it. But it is still fascinating that bro is literally taking care of a child while just smurfing on a lobby filled with 7 challengers. Okay, so he's definitely playing around Duelist because he probably is going to have Yasuo in for the entire game. So he wants to go for a bow or a sword or, something that can support Zed, Vayne, or Kaisa. It's the GP2 there. Again, these are some pretty good naturals. And then he just chooses to make Sunfire to kill the chain. You do want Edge of Night in the comp, but he's streaking, so he's last pick on Carousel. You just need to slam the items that you're given, and he wants to 5 streak, so he's just gonna go ahead and make the Sunfire. Okay, so it looks like he has everything figured out. Now he can start giving full attention to the game. Like I said, this stage was pretty, autopilot. So it wasn't super necessary for him to have his full attention on the game. And the laser core opener is really powerful in the early game, especially if you have a Yasuo too. Going through all the augments. He saw predatory precision. That means someone's playing Yumi. Saw a Sivir augment. I believe it was Endless Pizza, so there's probably going to be a Samira player. And then I believe Hextech Retribution. That is the support Camille augment. He's given Cloak Chain. So not an easy decision here on what you should be doing. Somebody has boxing lessons. There's probably a Jax player. Here's the Hextech Retribution guy. Let's see what his board is looking like. He's basically just like full open. And he has pieces for Renegade and Admin, so who knows where he's going to go from there. He's probably just going to end up rolling a lot next turn, trying to, like... And see, that's the player that's the lowest in the lobby. Okay, the game continues to be autopilot. He gets Duelist Crest, gives it to an Ashe too. Probably one of the best holders for it in the early game. And he considers slamming QSS, and he actually does slam QSS. So he is 100 health, and he wants to maintain his streak. QSS, although is a really strong item in some circumstances, it's definitely not the item that you want to prioritize. But he really wants to maintain this streak so he can just get gold through streaking and not necessarily have to get gold through like maintaining his econ. So he's down to just slam his items. Another benefit of that is that normally when you're streaking and you're maintaining your health, you're also trying to hit other people harder. You really want to make sure that you don't give people that are trying to lose streak and then capping around like a really strong board because they have a bunch of econ to be able to hit that point where they're able to, spike their board. You want them to go as low as possible so they can, if they lose to like the Yumi player or someone that's just high rolling in the game, then they actually die out and then they can't contest the top 4. So it looks like he has to go for chain off of Carousel. And he's rolling on 6. So he took the Yasuo out of the orb from the first hero augment because he used it to make the Yasuo 2. But he currently has the Yasuo from the Duelist Crest because the Duelist Crest also gives you a Yasuo and he has that one still in the orb. So he has 6 Yasuos right now. Now he has 7. Chooses to move the QSS onto Yasuo because he's only 2 off of Yasuo 3. So he's considering playing Yasuo 3, and you can see he's also holding the Lee Sins. So this plan to play on Yasuo 3 had been on his mind because he's holding the Lee Sins so that he has the potential to play supers. And I believe the only other player that's rerolling is the Yumi player. So supers is only one-way contested, so he can still play it in his comp. And you can see right there, he slow rolled above 50 gold on level 6 until he hit Yasuo 3. Now he definitely hit that super early, but he also got 2 extra Yasuos and he has a Nico. So if he really, really needed to, he could have just made Yasuo 3 with the Nico, but he just chose to keep rolling until he hit. So you can see here, he's playing around duelists, right? He has 6 duelists in. He does not have a single bow or a single sword. Gets dropped tier Rod when he's playing around duelists. You can see he doesn't have his streak anymore. So his spot is not looking like a guaranteed, you're not guaranteed top 4 from this spot, even though you 100 streaked through stage 3. So he goes ahead and he slams Locket with the Rod, which is what people have been slamming as of recent with Duelist Comp. But he also has Spirit of the Exile. So he doesn't want to put his units together in the front line because then they lose out on the attack speed, which is why he has his Fiora off to the side. He doesn't care too much about his Renekton and his Alistar getting attack speed, so he would rather them have frontline. So he has them in the Locket, but the important units he's making sure to not clump. And then Portable Forge, he chooses Portable Forge because he has a Yasuo 3, right? He wants to use this Yasuo 3 to bully the lobby as much as possible, and he has no other items that he can slam right now. He has a single chain. So in his mind, he's thinking, if I choose Portable Forge, then I get to get a third item for my Yasuo 3. Move the camera back, I forgot to. And also, Portable Forge has some decent items for AD units, but the best Portable Forge items are definitely for tanks and for AP units. So he had a couple options where he could have gone for Manazane or Zanya's Hourglass, and he chose to go for Zanya's. I think it's because Zanya's gives you more AP, and Yasuo is a laser core unit. So if he has all the lasers on him, and then he gets the invulnerability from Zanya's, then he's guaranteed to continue to have all of the lasers. For Yasuo, there's a good chance that Yasuo is going to be the last alive, and he gets to abuse the fact that he gets the extra lasers from Laser Core. So even though Manazane was a good option, there's like a slightly more synergy with Zanya's, and I think it was the correct choice. And then, yeah, he's kind of was forced to make the blue buff. So as you can see, his items still continue to not be anything special, and he's trying to figure out exactly what his best board can be here. He wants to play supers to just give this Yasuo hyper carry like as much possibility to just one-shot front lines and back lines as possible. He also wants to have 6 duelists in, so you saw in the past couple turns he was flip-flopping. So he gets dropped a spat and a bow. So he actually gets dropped another duelist spat. Definitely a bit of a high roll. But again, that's just like how the game works. And then he could have chose sword. We could have had an Edge of Night or a Warmogs with the anvil. But he chose Warmogs because the stronger frontline is, the more damage this Yasuo is going to be able to do, and the longer this Yasuo is going to be able to stay alive. So he could have Edge of Nighted, this Z1, but it wasn't a Z1 yet. I mean, it wasn't a Z2 yet, so he didn't know. Basically, he knows that he's getting more value from building this Warmogs than potential Edge of Night on a Z2. And also, this Z has no items, so Yasuo is for sure the main carry. You can see this Yasuo is dealing the most damage. He likes this Alistar because Ox Force is, again, slightly more frontline, slightly more stall. And in the previous turn, he made the decision to roll all of his gold to just upgrade his entire board, and he used the Nico to hit the one unit that he hadn't hit yet, which was the Sejuani. You can see how close all these fights are getting. You know for a fact that if he didn't get dropped that duelist spat, his board would be, a percentage weaker than what it is now. And it might be difficult for him to stabilize. he kind of gets lucked out. He gets this Aegis emblem from Carousel. So that'll help his units be, you know, that much more effective at dealing with magic damage. Although in this matchup, it doesn't do anything because this matchup is all AD. First shot Belveth. This pizza. Here's another thing to note, that if you look at the hero augments of the people that are guaranteed top 4, all of them are hero augments that you're commonly seeing as that you know well as being, you know, strong hero augments. Predatory Precision, Endless Pizza, Spirit of the Exile, Vitality of the Ox. Every augment that fits perfectly into a meta comp are the augments that, you know, do the best. So if you're ever looking at your first augment and you don't really know exactly what you should be going for, then maybe consider learning some of the best meta comps and how your augments fit into these meta comps. So he's able to get Last Whisper from the Anvil. Definitely a really strong item in an 8 duelist comp. If you have all these units with like max attack speed attacking a unit with shredded armor, then that unit kind of just vanishes. So if you're looking at this guy's board, and you're thinking, how is this guy, you know, in a spot like this with these items? He probably has like the craziest mashup of items like imaginable. He has like a random AP Yasuo, not the carry Yasuo, the support Yasuo 3. And then he has like 2 items on every unit. He has his like if I was watching this game and you were like a gold player and you made the decisions that Sox made in a lot of these decisions, I would say that like you're just dumb. But the thing is, these high level players know exactly when to play for tempo and exactly when to play for, you know, BIS. And so he utilized the early game, his HP and gold lead in the early game to just kind of get to this position in the late game where he has like more chances to continue high rolling. And that continuation of high rolling includes him getting dropped the duelist spat. But again, he definitely didn't high roll like any of his items. So high rolls in one way, low rolls in the other way. Ends up winning that game, even with the baby debuff. Thanks for watching this video. There's a new rank 1 in town. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you on the next one.